All right, so let me put this here on the side so I can make sure I don't skip anything. All right, so the first thing we did, we were given this file, which runs in steady state. It's great. We have set demands, pipe diameters. So let's start there. The pipes in this system are 6-inch if they're dark blue, 4-inch, the smaller ones in green, and the red ones are 8-inch. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind as we look at the velocities in our pipes later. All right, so the color coding tells us that. Let's do another color coding to look at the material of our pipes. And I'm going to open this legend here. So we can see that we have asbestos cement in this well-looped area. We have cast iron for this baby blue, ductile iron, this dark blue, and then PVC in red. Okay, and we'll take that into account when we're doing pipe breaks, because remember we were going to say to bring personal history to each of our pipes and say how many times they've had breaks in the past. But if a pipe did not have breaks, in order to help extrapolate or project when it will break, we're going to use a projected rate for the group that share the same material. So pipe material tends to break quite a bit, then it will increase the likelihood that one of those pipes would break. Okay, and we also had information as to what year those pipes were installed. And here you can see that these are the older pipes, followed by the baby blue, and then these, the purple, and then the newer ones are the PVC. Okay, so that's all the information that we're given. We also know things like typical flows in our systems. These are given the average demands. And we have also some velocity information just for average flows. Although the velocity that we're concerned with will be for the fire flows. All right, so the first thing we did, now that we know a little bit more about our system, and of course we know that there's a reservoir here with pumps, and there's also another source here on the southwest. Okay. All right, now that we know that, let's go and take a look at the criticality. So we ran a criticality to see what were the most critical segments. And let me move to the right scenario. Actually, since we have kind of not that much time, I'm going to quickly show the results. Let me turn the velocity off. Okay, so basically in that criticality, what we're doing is that we get information about which pipes are most critical. And what does that mean? Remember, we use in Pipe Renewal Planner a measurement. Let me put this over here. Okay, so this result for criticality, we get a raw score, and I'm going to sort this descending. Okay, so what does this mean? In the criticality, we say that if P10 were to break, 24.6% of the total demands could not be met. Okay, same as P11, P130, and that's why that is assigned the highest possible score for criticality, right? Because this is the highest demand shortfall. Okay, so on the opposite end of the spectrum is P29, that if it were to break, only 0.3% of the demands could not be met. Therefore, it's not critical at all. Okay, so that's where we're getting our numbers from. And let's just go switch back to the criticality. And we can see our segments. Let me just compute this, and we can see the same information here. So we said there was, these are all the possible segments. And remember, the way WaterGEMS figures this thing out, it's by looking at the isolation valves that are on our model. Okay, and so for each segment, we had information. How big of a segment would it be? How many elements get affected? How many isolation nodes do I need to operate in order to create that segment? So let me just run this. So if we were just looking at segments that are, longest segments, in terms of, let me just sort this descending here. This was one of the questions at the end in case you were looking. There's a 6,772 feet long segment, which is segment 45. Let me show you that segment in particular. Okay, so that is the segment, and we can clearly see, if I go here to the outage of segment 45, why this is so critical, right? Because if any of the purple pipes breaks, I'm going to have to close those isolation valves in order to be able to make the repair, and all the red pipes will be disconnected and will have no water. Okay, so that was one of the questions there that you should take a look and see if there's anything you can do to prevent that. One thing that you could do, for example, is put in a valve here, right? If we put a valve here and something happens to P4 or P33, then we don't need to affect any of the users on the red side, right? So that could be one way of making this segment smaller. Another thing that you could do to improve the criticality of this segment is to connect it back here somehow, so that if you had to break through this area, you can feed all this demand through a different area. Okay, but the data that we were really looking for here is in criticality, so that percentage of demand that it cannot be met. So that's the system demand shortfall. I'm going to start this descending. And here is the criticality segment 16. Let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so criticality segment 16. If something were to happen to that segment, then 24.6% of the demands could not be met. So let's see where that is. Segment 16. The one thing about criticality that you probably already noticed is that you can't really close this window, because if you do, then you don't see all the results. So if something happened to the purple segment, you would have to leave all these users without water, and probably some of them have some really large demands, because again, remember, what we're thinking is percentage of demands not met. Okay. And again, to solve it here, you could maybe add an additional valve here at this location, so that if something happened to any of these pipes downstream of it, you could simply close there and maybe have a way to still deliver water to other people while you make those repairs. Okay, so looking again at these results of criticality, these are our most critical pipes in red and purple, and the ones that are in green basically are not critical at all. Then the next thing we did was we looked at fire flow, and let's just run that scenario. If we go to the fire flow constraints, we notice that 27 out of 97 nodes failed. Let me turn the diameter color coding again while I do this. And you see this red dot shows the node where we're checking fire flow, that it fails. So notice that many of these nodes fail at locations that are dead ends, but also a lot of them are in this area right here, because the flow has to go through this pipe, which is small diameter pipe. It's 6 inches, and typically the high velocity is there. So if I color code by velocity, you're going to see that. Let me zoom out a little bit, and you can see when I'm running a flow on J45, it fails, and the possible culprit is this guy that keeps showing red, right? In this case, that one as well. So let's leave the So any of these pipes that have high velocity, so let's step here for a second and take a look at the velocity on this pipe. So we get a velocity of 11 feet per second. In this case, 10 feet per second. So that's really high. Therefore, we should expect the pipes that are showing red right here to have a really high score for capacity. Now let's see if that is true. Let me switch to the correct scenario. So there they show all the ones that have high scores due to capacity. So again, bottlenecks for our fire flows. All right. And then we went to the other tool, which is the pipe break. And remember what we did here is we input 20 years worth of break data. And you can see here that some of them had no breaks in those 20 years. Some others did. This is why we created pipe break groups by year installed. And you can see that this pipe, for example, P1, has a break rate of 0 breaks per year per mile because there have been no breaks. But it belongs to a group that has a break rate of 0.091. Okay, and we're going to use this data to calculate what I was showing here. So let me go back to pipe break. And we can see that this one, for example, has a high possibility of, or a high score, which means it's very likely to break. And what we noticed here is the pipes with the other than green colors, so the likely ones to break, were located in this area because this was the material that presented most breaks. Okay, therefore we expect the pipes here to have a high pipe break score. So if I go to my Pipe Renewal Planner now, I can take a look at that. So let's look at the raw score, and I'm going to sort this descending. And notice that P68 gets a score of 100 because the raw score is 1.9 breaks per year per mile. Whereas this pipe 102 only has 0.026. So let's look up those two. Let me go over here and just look up those two pipes. P102 almost no breaks, so you can see that coincides with the color coding, whereas we should expect P68 to be around here, right? So it is this pipe. Okay, so we combine, I didn't show you this, but there's also something that we didn't talk about. It hasn't been updated in our PowerPoints, which was hydraulic risk. And hydraulic risk is a combination of pipe break and criticality into one. So no fancy concepts, just adding up those two scores. Okay, but we're not going to take that into account. And so if we go back to the results, we can see that we get a final score, which is this one, which is our pipe score. And I'm going to sort this descending. And this one does not include material, but we can see that the highest scoring pipes are P131 and P130. And the reason, let's look where they are. The reason they get such high score, it's because they are very critical. And it's not just because I've seen this file before, it's because you can go over here and see that each of these got 100% score for criticality. Their pipe break score is small. They also seem to have scored high on the capacity. So they could have high velocities. This one 6-inch and this one 8-inch. Okay, so you can make your decisions based on that final pipe score, and we can just show that. And the idea here is that once you use this tool to identify the most priority or highest priority pipes for replacement, you could do something that we're going to do now, which is to use Darwin Designer to either redesign these pipes, or if it costs too much, maybe you can do some rehabilitation like lining the pipes or putting parallel barrels and things like that. All right.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.